Welcome once again to our channel, Simple Talks with Keke. My name is Monica Kekeso Nyama. And today we have Mrs. Marcia Stoffberg in the house. She's my colleague. She's a woman of character, woman of integrity. She's a child of God. But she's going to tell us who she is really. So, welcome to our channel.
How are you, Kiki?
How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. Honored to be here.
Likewise. Please tell us, who is Marcia Stoffberg?
Oh, I think you gave the introduction. But other than that, I'm a mom, I'm a grandmother also. I enjoy that role.
Wow.
I have one daughter. I was married for 34 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I got married very young. So, I've been widowed for like just a year. It's just a year, just turned a year recently. So I need to navigate myself now being a single person after many years. So that's where I am, on a path to find myself again. Other than that, I come from a fairly big family. 4 siblings. No, we are 4 siblings. And then my parents also raised 2 family children. So we're 6 siblings.
Yes. Wow.
We didn't have a very big house, but there was space and food for everyone.
Yes.
And love, of course.
Yes.
So that is me, very family orientated. As far as work goes, I'm project administrator for human settlements, as you know. But I feel always that there's so much more I can give. You know, I believe in lifelong learning. So I always try and improve myself. But you also need to be able to live it out in your career. So career-wise, I'm a bit frustrated at the moment. You know, because there hasn't been any growth in a while. But yeah, that's me. As you said, I'm a child of God. I'm very involved in my church. Very dedicated to that part of my life is very important for me.
Yes.
So that is what grounds me, you know, my faith. That is what gets me through everything else.
Yeah, wow. And I know you because I saw the pictures the other day when you had a church service. I think it was, we were wearing traditional wear. It was so nice and beautiful. Hey, Marcia, please tell us what happened to your husband?
Oh, my husband, he passed away last year on the 25th of August due to brain cancer. But the journey prior to that, I don't know if we have time, but I think it's very important to understand the journey, you know, to understand how it impacted all of us. In 2014, a routine colonoscopy, he was diagnosed with colon cancer. But we started learning, you know, because cancer was new to us. We thought you die if you have cancer, that type of thing. But what happened is we learned such a lot. And then they said, no, if they can cut cancer out, then they consider it curable. If they cannot cut it out, they consider it incurable. Okay, so anyway, he had the op, surgery, chemo, radiation, and so now he's healed, right? We carry on with life. And we're doing life. And what had carried us through that, although it wasn't something we expected, he was so positive. He was so, you know, sold out. He's beating this thing. And really it worked. His faith, his positivity, his, he's a fighter just generally. He's very short-tempered. So all of that just, you know, it helped him. And we got through it. And for 2 years, life was normal again. And in 2016, the end of 2016, we actually just moved together on this floor, you and I. Then he was diagnosed again with liver. They found a spot on the liver. And then we realized, but it's not as we thought, you know, they cut it out, it's gone. Because then what we learned afterwards, it actually travels in the bloodstream. And it can still go and, you know, locate itself anyway. So then we had that struggle. And what happened then, I remember the doctor was someone he told me afterwards was at school with him. And she's a Muslim lady, and I'm simply saying this for the, you know what happened afterwards.
Yeah.
She told him, it's inoperable. We found the spot, it's inoperable, you need to get your affairs in order. This was 2016. And I will make an appointment for you with a social worker because you need to now think of, you know, end of life stuff.
Oh my God.
And he said, no thank you, doctor, I don't need a social worker, I have a spiritual oversight.
Yes.
I have a heavenly father,
Oh,
and
Lord.
so I believe that I'm going to be okay. They said, okay, we'll do chemo, we have to do it. We'll do chemo and see where it takes us, but from the onset you need to understand we can't fix this like we did the colon. So they did the chemo, and when we went after the chemo, it's a long process, so then they said it shrunk because chemo shrinks the growth, right?
Yes.
So I'm sort of using this as a educational because people have a lot of misconceptions about the process. So it shrunk the tumor on the liver, and they said it shrunk enough actually for them to be able to cut it out.
Okay.
So that first diagnosis was, you know, and it's only God, we know. We don't have power over these things.
Yes.
So they were ready, and they did the op, but then when they went in, they had to cut off more from the liver than they thought. One thing I never knew, at that time the liver regenerates. So they can cut half of your liver off and it will just grow back within a couple of weeks.
So it doesn't matter the age.
It doesn't matter. I never knew that, and that is why I say we learned a lot. So, but then they had to cut off more than they thought, and he actually almost died. And we had to be a week in hospital. He was more than a month in hospital. Lots of challenges when he came out. But then again, God came through for him. He healed. He was up and running again. And he's built very solid. So he was his old self. You would never say this man went through that. And again, life carried on as normal. 2019, the year he turned 50. 2 weeks before his 50th, they say, there's something on your lungs. And that he was just like, you know what, Marcia, I'm not going through this again. I don't want treatment, I don't want anything. It is what it is.
Time now.
And he didn't want a party for his 50th. I had to cancel all our plans. And anyway, then we had that for a while. And then I spoke to him and I said, you know what? We have 2 small grandsons who are very attached to you. Don't you want to buy out the time for them? If you don't want to do it for me or for yourself, and I understand, you know, we don't know what you are experiencing, but for them. And then he agreed, and he went back to hospital, and they started treatment again, and the whole process continued. And then 2021, so again 2 years has passed. And 2021, something happened to him on a Sunday. June of that year, he told me one day, very upset, he says, he can't speak properly. I said, no man, it's probably just something. And I brushed it off. And then told the doctor about it, because he still went for regular checkups. The doctor's like, no, it's nothing. Then October of that year, that same year, so he, one Sunday couldn't use his arm. And I just like, it's probably stroke or something. But remember, he's reasonably healthy at this point. But I take him, the midnight part, I took him to the hospital because he said he's not feeling well. And I had to leave my husband there because this is still COVID regulations, you can't go in. And my husband was missing for 3 days. The hospital didn't know where he was. I left him at emergency, system shows he's at emergency, but he's not there.
That what happened?
Nobody knows where he is. Anyway, that was very traumatic. Found him eventually through a family member that worked at Grooteskier. And located him at the ward, and I went through. And he just said, the doctor spoke to him, but I must speak to the doctor. Doctor's not there. The next day I go again, doctor's not there. So I said, no, get the doctor on the phone for me.
Yes.
So I asked him, like, what did the doctor say to you? And he's just like, no, the doctor didn't say anything to him. So I said, they need to get the doctor on the 5th. The doctor spoke to me, and the doctor says, Mrs. Stoffberg, I'm sorry to tell you this, but your husband's cancer has spread to his brain. And it is not a tumor that we can remove. It's little spots all over the brain. So now it affects every part of what the brain does. And it was devastating because they told me it's terminal. He's not coming back from this. And now I have to go to my husband and tell him this because he says the doctor didn't tell him this. And the doctor tells me, but we told him. I told him personally. But you need to remember that his memory, his motor skills, everything, his personality, everything will now be affected because of this as it grows. And there's nothing we can do for him. We'll give him treatment just to keep the swelling down, but that is it. And you know, Monica, I spent a lot of time at Grooteskiel Oncology over the years, obviously. But not even the first time we heard he had cancer. Nothing compares to the day when you have to leave there with no hope. No hope. They discharge you. They give you a letter because they're not even going to treat you anymore. So if you need anything, you need to go to the hospital as a chronic patient. And that to us, both of us. You know, we couldn't even leave the hospital together that day. The person fetched us because my husband couldn't drive anymore either. I said to him, go and I'll wait at the pharmacy. Just to give both of us that space to breathe and process everything. So yeah, then October, for 10 months, because he only passed away the following year, August, which he lived longer than they thought he would live. My husband changed weekly. Every week there was something. Then he couldn't speak properly. Then he couldn't walk properly. Then he couldn't eat by himself. He couldn't take care of himself anymore. And that happened within the first 3 months. Yeah, from the new year now, by March. He couldn't, I would have to write down for him how to program the TV for something he watches. And he's very technical. And what was sad for me is my husband was a very proud man. Good looking guy, well built, and he's just the man. I saw like that. So to have seen him regress to what, if I'm going to show you a picture of my husband towards the end, I think you will cry. And that for me was the most difficult part, to see how this man changed right in front of my eyes. And I have to wash him, and I have to feed him, and I have to pray for him in the middle of the night because he had so much of pain and we wouldn't sleep, and I could only pray. And my husband loves music, he's a music lover, so all things music, all genres, that's his thing. And I would always tell him, you're supposed to be a child of God now, but you hardly ever play gospel. It's always Queen and reggae and all these things. Anyway, but in those times of distress, I would say, must I put on music for you? Because music calls. Yes. And he'd say yes. And I'd say, what must I put on? Because he's very particular about what he listens to. And he'd say gospel. In his own way, because I had to learn how to communicate with him. And he only wanted to listen to gospel music all that time. And I said the worst for me was, Monica, when I hope you never experience this. When your loved one asks you to pray that he must die. That is one of the most difficult things, the pain, the way he must see himself dependent on others, where he used to be this guy with big ego. He was a manly man. I always told people, if my husband was a wimp, you get husbands, they're just there. They're just there in front of the TV. But my husband had a very big personality, and he was very present. He was there, Like people always used to joke, I can't even go for coffee with a friend he wants to take me and he wants to fetch me. And he could wait for me to do that too. And the same with our grandsons, the same with my daughter. He's like very there, man. And now to have him there and not there, it was quite the journey. And I still struggle. And I still battle sometimes with God, to be honest. I've accepted. He is better off now. But I sometimes still say, why did he have to go out like that?
And you have faith that is...
Yes, we always had faith. He was always the one that, you know, he comes back strong every time. Like towards the end, I had to tell my grandsons, you know, Pa's not going to make it this time. And the youngest one said, what are you talking about? Pa always gets better. Because he's seen it.
Yes, happening.
In fact, ironically, the day my youngest, I've only got 2 grandsons because I've only got 1 child. So the day my youngest grandson was born was the day my husband was diagnosed for the first time. And we had to choose that day. Do we choose life, to focus on life, or do we choose to focus on death? And he made that choice. We're going to focus on life. That very night we went to the hospital, we saw the baby, and that was our focus. And he became very attached, obviously, to this boy because of sentimental reasons. It will always remind him. And as he saw this child grow, he could see that, you know, it's another year of grace. It's another year of God's mercies and strength and renewed strength sometimes, because sometimes our strength failed us. It wasn't an easy road. And like I say, I wish this for no one. It is a very, very difficult road. And to remain standing and to remain faithful, basically, you know, and to still believe. You do get challenged. But by the grace of God, a year later, here I am. I miss my husband terribly. Because it's just the 2 of us, so now I'm alone. And like I said, he was always there. So to now just have silence, it was difficult. It is difficult, and it will be difficult for a while. But I'm confident, man. You know, when I'm down and out, like I was sick recently, and I was like, now there's no one to bring me a glass of water. I must now literally drag myself out of bed to get water. But those are the little things that I have to get used to. But you know what? Through it all, God has been faithful.
Wow, thank you so
I know that was a mouthful, but like I said, I can't come to the end without
without a beginning.
Otherwise it doesn't give proper context.
Wow. No, you are really a strong woman, Marcia. I admire you, and I thank God for the experience that you went through, because sometimes in life you went through this experience so that you can learn and to teach others and to strengthen others who are going to the same road or don't have lost all hope. So we thank God really for availing yourself as well. Thank you so much. May God really bless you. So if you want to engage more, I think we'll have part 2 on this. Because we still need to talk about it. It's just that now we still need to talk about, we have a part 2. Please follow and subscribe on our channel. I'm signing out. Thank you for watching.